aboard! All aboard for Sensuijima. Sensuijima, or Drunken Hermit Island. We've climbed the small and medium peaks before, and today we're doing the big peak all by itself. And this is a kind of test. Do the hibagon, the Japanese Bigfoot, come out to this island? Or will this prove to be a hibagon-less control forest, a scientific control forest? If there's no hibagon visitation here, there should be no structures, no field guide to Sasquatch structures. And we're going with an open mind. Now, last April, my friend Yuki and I, found 3 structures at the mostly lost and forgotten Bingo Muro Castle on the mainland. We followed the line of 3 and found 3 more structures, predicted and found 3 structures. And that total line, if you extend it, it would extend to or point to Drunken Hermit Island. But that might be neither here nor there. But the first thing we found, quite surprisingly, these look like old castle walls of the Kuruwa variety. You remember, those are low fighting platforms that would have had bamboo or wooden walls on top. And they go stepping up the mountain. And the idea is to attrit the enemy. You don't fight to the death in them. You fight and slow down and take out a couple of your foe. And then when the fighting gets too warm, you just hop up to the next level and pull up the ladders after you. And in this way, you erode your enemy's forces and take up his time. And this goes on step by step. These walls are the same height, and the Kuruwa platforms are the same depth as we find in our lost castle on Mount Zao. Now, these are not terraced rice paddies. I've had architects and a historian visit Mount Zao, and they've agreed that these are not terraced rice paddies. This island, for one thing, was never inhabited, except maybe by one drunken hermit. There's no water source to water rice paddies or vegetables. And there's just not much sunlight on this side of the mountain. No, these are, for sure, Kuruwa castle fighting platform walls, probably from the Murakami pirates, who weren't exactly pirates. They were more like sea barons. They owned the sea here, just as the land barons ruled their domains on land. But then we find a log seemingly propped up on a wall, number 35 in the field guide. We do not see, and we look carefully, but we do not see how this could have fallen and just stayed like this. It seems to be propped up against gravity. We can't find a source for this piece of timber. It is broken at both ends and mostly peeled all over. Then we find a lot of number 9 longsword, large limbs jammed or wedged into tight crevices and crooks. Again, you play the video back in your mind, and you cannot explain how it falls like this, or where it falls from. They seem to be imported into the scene and pushed in with a horizontal force. On the trail, it looks like this was once a cobblestone road up to the castle keep. Someone has caught and largely plucked and eaten or taken away? A seabird. Could be a regular predator, I guess, but not a single drop of blood, as you might expect to see if you were ripping up a bird with your beak and talons, or tusks and teeth, or claws. However, if you were using your hands and you just wrung the bird's neck and were plucking it, you might find a scene like this. At the very top, you see the bright clearing just beyond. That is the very peak. If this is a number 36 roadblock, it pretty well perfectly bisects the mountain, divides it in half. Is this a meaningful placement or a mere coincidence? If it's a coincidence, it's a big one, because this is the only roadblock that we found on our hike up the mountain and down the other side. Nice view, and this is where we found the 3 structures in a line and followed them and found 3 more structures, as predicted, in the same line, pointing right into my camera lens as I stand here. Another number 9 longsword. I didn't take photos of them all. There's too many. Now, this is a log that doesn't belong here. It's imported. It's broken at both ends. It's delimbed. It's a different kind of tree than what's around here. It even looks like it could be driftwood that somebody carried up here just for the purpose of jamming in this tree here. But who would do that? Okay, we're 500 feet up. We're coming down the other side of the mountain, and we find 2. This is one, what you see here, and there's another one beside it. 2 distinct, discrete litterings of seashells, mostly clam. We didn't see any seashells on the trail this far, and after this we really paid attention, and we found none. I don't know what to make of this. It looks for all the world as if 2 fellows, 2 buddies, filled up their enormous mittens with a bunch of clam shells and a few others and carried them up here and sat down side by side, real friendly, to have a picnic. Maybe a young lad brought his girl up here to snack on shellfish and enjoy the lights and sounds of the human town far below. Sounds very romantic. Number 27, Skyscraper B, an imported tree removed from its root and transported here, delimbed, peeled, and propped up in the wishbone crook of this living tree. And just listen to it, creaking in the breeze, with a possible number 1 tree arch just beyond. And continuing down, we find more number 9 long swords like this. Just look at how tightly it is wedged in there. It didn't fall in there, and nobody would be able to find the source tree of this log. Yeah, we know the trees fall in the forest, but they don't fall out of a clear blue sky like grand pianos in the cartoons. So 5 or 6 different designs, that's 10% of the field guide, in a 3-hour hike, sticking to the trail. If we had more time, if we went off trail, what else might we find? Several examples, maybe over a dozen, of the number 9 longsword type alone. Whoever comes over here, it seems like number 9 longsword is his favorite hibagon structure. One more thing, and I don't know why I didn't take a photo of this. I thought I did. I was sure I did, but they're not on my camera, so I guess I didn't. Several trees in one area on a steep slope. At least 4 trees that I remember, blown or pushed over or pulled over, all uphill, all parallel uphill. Now, normally, because of gravity, because of the slope, because of erosion below the root of the tree, because of lean, almost always trees fall downhill when they fall. Seeing several of them falling uphill, was weird. It just strikes you as weird and unnatural, as unnatural as going against gravity. If it's normal, we'd see it happen everywhere, or we'd see examples everywhere, but I don't recall ever seeing it, except several times in one small area right here on Drunken Hermit Island. Well, thanks to Christopher Noel, and Merry Christmas to Mr. Noel for giving us the field guide and a common vocabulary to discuss these things. I'm always very grateful. I don't think hibagon lives here. I think he swims out here sometimes, maybe following the wild boar, the delicious wild boar that we know swim back and forth. This island is rich in berries, mushrooms, roots, bamboo shoots, grubs and other insects, and lots of acorns. Yeah, acorns and wild boar. That's Iberian pork, mis amigos.